This lesson is about properties of rhombuses. The goal, in fact, there are two goals. One is to define and classify special parallelograms, and the second is to use properties of diagonals of rhombuses and rectangles. The standards are geometry congruence number 11 and geometry similarity right triangles and trig number 5. On the first page of your notes, I want you to give yourself a number on the scale of what you know about the properties of rhombuses. Where are you? Are you at a 1? I don't get it. Are you at a 2? I sort of get it. Are you at a 3? You already know about properties of rhombuses. Or do you know so much about rhombuses you could teach this lesson? What you should understand by the end of this lesson is that parallelograms and rhombuses have basic properties about their sides and their angles that help identify them. Their diagonals also have certain properties that help us to know that they are parallelograms or rectangles or rhombuses. The first theorem is if a parallelogram is a rhombus, then its diagonals are perpendicular. So let's take a look at a rhombus. First of all, a rhombus has 4 congruent sides. Now, if you remember, a square is always a rhombus, and a rhombus is sometimes a square. They both have 4 congruent sides. A square is different because it has 4 90-degree angles. But let's take a look at this rhombus that we are given. And this has 4 congruent sides, but we're going to take a look at its diagonals. So if I draw this diagonal from A to C, you'll notice that I have these sides are congruent here, and these sides are congruent. And if you remember, that gives me 2 isosceles triangles. And if you remember when we're doing, when we looked at congruent triangles, that of course this bottom line, if I pulled those triangles apart, those lines would still be congruent. Again, if you look at these triangles, those lines are the same, and these lines are the same. Again, they are isosceles triangles. And now, if you remember our congruent triangles, they are congruent by side, side. I have side, side, and side, side. Okay, that proves that those 2 triangles are congruent. Now, isosceles triangles, opposite sides, their base triangles are congruent. So those 2 are congruent. And on the other isosceles triangle, their base angles are also congruent. And if I draw the other diagonal from D to B, that is actually an altitude, I break this down into the top half that's going to give me symmetrical, that gives me right to right triangles. So these are perpendicular lines. So this proves to you that line or diagonal AC is perpendicular to diagonal BD. Therefore, we have proven that that is, in fact, a rhombus. All right, our first problem says quadrilateral PQRS is a rhombus. What is the measurement of QRT? All right, that is an angle, QRT. R is the middle letter. That means that is the vertex that we're looking for. So hopefully that you know that every triangle has 180 degrees. So I'm going to start with 180 degrees. Also, you should know that I have one right angle. So I'm going to subtract 90, which leaves me 90. Now another thing you should know is that this angle is congruent to that angle. So I now can subtract 62 degrees, which would leave me the measurement of R, which is 28 degrees. So the measurement of QRT is 28 degrees. You just have to think about what you know about these triangles and subtract them from 180. Remember, each triangle is going to be worth 180 degrees, and each triangle has a 90-degree angle in it. Here's your first practice problem. It says quadrilateral EFGH is a rhombus. What is the measurement of GFI? Here's our next problem. Quadrilateral RSTU is a rhombus. What is the measurement of RUS? So I am looking for the measurement of RUS. So I'm actually looking for that little measurement right there. Okay? Well, it is a carbon copy of the triangle across from it. And I know that each triangle is worth 180 degrees. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start at 180 degrees. Now, I don't have to cut this in half to get the 90-degree angle. I'm just going to use that larger triangle. I'm going to subtract 118 from 180 degrees. And I get 62. Now, these two angles are congruent. So I have two of them. So I know that because each one of those sides, in fact all four sides, are congruent. So I'm going to divide this in half, or divide it by 2. That gives me 31. So the measurement of RUS is 31 degrees. Here's your practice 2. Quadrilateral TUVW is a rhombus. What is the measurement of UWV? Here's the next problem. Quadrilateral VWXY is a rhombus, and the measurement of XYZ equals A minus 38. What is the value of A? All right, the measurement of angle Y is A minus 38. I also know that this is a 90-degree angle. I also know that because this is a mirror image of this angle, that the measurement of X is 58 degrees. So I can either look at, they all add up to 180, or I can look that these two add up to 90. So I'm just going to look at that A minus 38 and 58 add up to 90. So I'm going to start with 90, and I'm going to add 38 and then subtract 58, and that's going to tell me what A equals. And that would be 70. Now, to make sure that they add up to 180, I would need to take my 90, my 58, and I wouldn't take 70. I would need to take 70 minus 38, which is 32. Now, when I add those up, 8 and 2 is 10, 9 and 9 is 18, and all three of them, when they added up, equal 180. So the value of A, however, is 70. Here is practice 3. Quadrilateral QRST is a rhombus, and the measurement of TSU is equal to 2W minus 45. What is the value of W? The next problem, quadrilateral QRST is a rhombus, and the measurement of SQT equals 2S. What is the value of S? So, I have been told that angle Q, because that's the middle letter, is 2S. I also know that this angle is also 2S. And I need to know that because I'm looking at an entire triangle. I don't have any right angles. I can't cut anything in half and figure it out. So I need to add these together or figure out, because this whole triangle equals 180 degrees. So you start out with 180. You minus or subtract 128, which gives us 52. I have 2 S's and 2 more S's, so that's 4 S's. So I'm going to divide this by 4, which gives me S equals 13. So the value of S is 13 degrees. You can always check it by taking 4 times 13, which gives us 52. 52 plus 128 is 180 degrees. Here's your practice 4. Quadrilateral VWXY is a rhombus, and the measurement of VXY is 2Z. What is the value of Z? Alright, the last concept you need to look at is that a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. All 4 sides are the same length. Alright, so we are looking at quadrilateral EFGH, and they want to know what is the value of Y. Well, all 4 sides are the same length. We're not looking at angle measurements here. We're looking at the length of the sides. We've been told that the length of the sides are the same. So I need to make 6Y equal to Y plus 15. I need to subtract 1Y from both sides of the equal sign, which gives me 4Y. Those Y's are gone, and I'm left with 15. When I divide by 5Y, or both sides by 5, I have Y equals 3. So the value of Y in this problem is 3. Your practice 5, quadrilateral FGHI is a rhombus. What is the value of V? My last problem is this parallelogram BCDH a rhombus. So I take a look. Here are opposite angles. They are congruent. This is 65, that's 65. That means these are isosceles triangle. That's an isosceles triangle. These two are the same. That means these are isosceles triangle. So yes, that is a rhombus. So you have to look at our opposite angles. When it cuts it in half, does it make 2 isosceles? Are all 4 sides congruent? Do the diagonals cut it perpendicularly? So look at those angle measurements and side lengths when you decide if a parallelogram is a rhombus. And practice 6 is parallelogram QRST a rhombus. And be ready to explain why it is or why it is not. So, at the beginning of this lesson, I ask you to put at the top of your notes the numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4 about where you were on this, your knowledge of rhombuses. And now I'm going to have at the end of these notes, I want you now to put where are you on the scale. Are you still a 1? You don't get it. Are you at a 2? I sort of get it. Do you now get it? Or now are you so good you could teach this lesson to somebody? If you're the first one to show me these numbers, I will add 5 points onto your next test grade. Go on to your assignment onto IXL. You need to master this and get a 100. And good luck. And remember, just like the toys on the island of misfits, you can be anything you want. Bye.